Hi, today I want to talk about the US policy that resulted banning the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist group. In my opinion, in my fair opinion, I have to say this is not going to work at all. Has there been any incident that the Muslim Brotherhood get involved with the terrorist attacks somewhere else? No. Egyptian government tries to relate some incident with the Muslim Brotherhood, but we can't. Now, as you know, history only repeats itself. And now we have to look at a little bit the Egyptian history, and then we are going to make a projection what might happen in Egypt in coming decades. Now let's start. 1950s, Nasser also banned the Muslim Brotherhood, and he declared as a terrorist group. It didn't work at all. There were some people that they feel that they have to take more assertive, I will say, actions against the government, and they become radicalized. This path drives also the birth of Al-Qaeda somehow, and now the history repeats itself. Al-Sisi asked the United States to declare Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist group because as he needs to stay in power, and the Muslim Brotherhood impose a great threat to his stability, to his presidency, because politically Muslim Brotherhood has a big support from the people. People want to leave the religion with the Western values. I'm not going to say that this is something easy to be done. Like the Europeans has found the balance for maybe 400 or 500 years. They have started this, and up until early 19th century they somehow make this balance. Now it is time for also the Muslims to find this balance between the fair values for the people with the religion itself. Countries like Turkey, you can see that it's more established. I will say 87 to 90% of the people wants the laws with the conventional, with the I would say the Western laws to be applicable within the countries, where 10% I will say wants a Sharia or Quran laws to be applied. In Pakistan, this is 97%. In Malaysia, this is 86–85%. So it is a process. It's a time. It's an era that we are going to live, and the Muslim countries is going to find the balance between the religion and the fair values. Now, in Egypt, during the elections, Mohammed Morsi was elected as a president, and he represents the Muslim Brotherhood's values. But in 2013, Al-Sisi made a coup, and he declared himself as a president. He was elected after democratic elections, and I will say the secular form of Egyptian elites and army elites and also business elites didn't like this, and they imposed a coup against Morsi as a president, and he was declared as a terrorist. Now he is in jail. But I don't remember an incident that Muslim Brotherhood has involved in. And Muslim Brotherhood since established in I was early 20s or mid 20s, 1920s, and they try to find a balance between the religion and the fair values, like the Western values, I have to say. And this is a process. The process is going on still. There are some wrongdoings, there are some right doings, but it's a normal procedure. It's a normal process that takes time. And through the faults or the wrongdoings, people are learning. That's why I will not call the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist group, but I will call them as a political group which tries to find a balance between the Muslim religion and the Western values, and they want to live with this. Why this is not going to work? There are two reasons. First, the Muslim Brotherhood is not only in in Egypt. It's everywhere in the Muslim world. If you go to Malaysia, you will find some. If you go to Central Asia, you are going to see the effects. If you are going to see in Turkey, President Erdogan is a big fan of it. He's a member of it. So should also the United States declare Turkey as a terrorist? That will be too bold decision. But the people wants this. The people wants to leave the religion with the Western value, composed together somehow. And through, I would say, wrongdoings and right doings, people are going to learn this. Society is going to then take all these lessons and impose their lives. And then there will be a balance set up. And this is a process going on. That's why I haven't seen anything like a terrorist incident that Muslim Brotherhood has involved in. That's why it should not be called as a terrorist group, and this wrongdoing is going to cost a lot to Egypt. Now, this is the projection coming in. If you are going to cut the voice of the opponents, or do not give the rights to them to be represented in the parliament, and you try to neglect them in the society as a minority or a majority, but no problem, whatever it is, but you try to neglect them, then some people inside this community might be radicalized. And this is what is going to happen in Egypt. Eventually, there will be a path that from the Muslim Brotherhood origins, it might be even, some people will try to find a more radicalized, I would say, path. And some violences might erupt in especially the Sinai Peninsula, I would say, in the coming decade or 2 decades top. This has happened after 60s to 80s, and after Nasir, President Nasir at that time had announced that Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist group. Al-Qaeda evolved from the people who just left the Muslim Brotherhood groups. Now, this is going to be the same. History only repeats itself. So, there is no debate about this in my mind. In Egypt, it will be a great problem. Egyptian elites, especially the business and the army elites, they do not give, or they do not let the other opponents or the minorities to be represented, especially the people who wants to live the Western life with the Muslim religion norms. And that's why people will, or those people will find a new umbrella to be living in, and it will be more radicalized. That's what the United States is doing now. The United States is, unfortunately, willingly or unwillingly, this is not I'm going to comment on, but they are driving some people to get radicalized a little bit. And this is going to cause a problem in the stability of especially the peninsula, in Sinai Peninsula, which also has a lot of importance for the global trade due to its geography. So, unfortunately, in 1 decade to 2 decades, we will see more terrorist attacks going around the peninsula, the Sinai Peninsula, which is going to become a big problem for Egypt. That's why it's related with Turkey, because Turkey is a Muslim country, tried to impose himself as a leader of the Muslim country, and it is related also with the Muslim Brotherhood, trying to live a modern life with Muslim religions, with including the Western values, and Turkey will find itself get involved within this conflict. Either Turkey wants or tries to neglect even, but we will find ourselves involved with this dilemma, especially Sinai Peninsula. That's why it's very important to remember this is like the first, I would say, steps of radicalization in Egypt. How it can be prevented? The Egyptian elites, including the military and the business elites, should, I would say, get the elements of, or shall let the opponents to represent themselves in the parliament, and with the democratic norms, let the people choose whoever they want to choose, and let them give, or let them be heard by you. Otherwise, you will lead your people to more radicalized path because you are not giving them any chance, and people wants to live their lives as the way that they want to. So it should be remembered that unless Egyptian elites does not recognize their rights, Egypt will have more terrorist events in future, and Turkey, willingly or unwillingly, but unfortunately, will find itself involved in this problem. Thank you for watching.